Hello and welcome to Soul's Compass Healing, where we talk about nature. Today I am enjoying the snowy nature of the forest, and there is this phenomenon that happens when so much snow weighs down the cedar branch that down falls this waterfall of snow, and it might just happen on the camera. Who knows? That's the risks that I'm willing to take today. And it's all gonna happen in one take. That's how I do it, y'all. Raw, real, and ready. So, full moon in the sign of Leo, January 25th, 2024. We have just had a Pluto ingress into Aquarius on January 20th, okay? We are now seeing Mars in the sign of Capricorn. Venus will be in the sign of Capricorn, following Pluto's path. So going in the same direction, right? All the planets are traveling counterclockwise through the zodiac. And the reason why these three planets are so important is because Pluto is our bottom line evolutionary trajectory. Mars is the ruler of the North Node. Libra is the ruler of the South Node. And what I find so fascinating about these weeks is that is when we put moon phases between these planets, okay? So nature is cyclical, nature is full of spirals, nature is full of phases that are reflected by the moon. So, you know, if you think about the phases of the moon, we've got crescent, first quarter, gibbous, full, third quarter, or disseminating, third quarter, balsamic, boom, we're back at a new moon, right? And so that's nature. That's us. It happens within us. It happens outside of us in the world, okay? And so what's fascinating right now is that there is so much there's so much balsamic energy and new energy beginning at such a fundamental level. Okay, so Pluto entering Aquarius is, because Pluto moves so slowly, we are really feeling a lot of that balsamic process of Pluto being in Capricorn for 20 years. And also simultaneously the excitement of the future, what the future will bring, what will be different, what will be new. And we see this happening within a phasal relationship between Mars and Venus. Okay, so they are in a balsamic phase relationship, and they are both in balsamic phase relationship to Pluto. So they are both going to be squaring the moon's nodes as they are in balsamic phase to each other. Mars right now is squaring the nodes. And this is like, wow, just fascinating astrology. It's truly amazing. In the balsamic phase, the key word is culmination. And Jeffrey Wolf Green also talked about it being a divine attunement, right? So balsamic associated with Pisces, you know, it's that time of reflecting on what didn't work, what is ready to be released and let go of. It can be a time of a lot of mixed emotions, right? Where it's like feeling so much grief about relating patterns and how much hurt and wounding they have caused to us as individuals, right? We've got Chiron on the North Node, also in balsamic phase with the North Node. So this is a supercharged balsamic flavored time where we can both be feeling utterly exhausted at what we have been through relationally, in our bodies, etc. over the past while, and we can also be feeling so excited about the future, about things being different, and we can start to feel these subtle sort of unconscious shifts and changes starting to take place already. We might not know where they're coming from or what it means, like, we don't have it figured out yet right now at all, but just feeling into that, like, possibility of change, you know, that, like, there is profound opportunity for healing, growth, and change right now. It is utterly profound. And this is all happening in the month of February. So I am going to talk more about this when I talk about the powerful new moon in Aquarius coming up. Yeah, so, okay, let's get to it. So this moon is opposing Pluto and the Sun in Aquarius, right? Pluto. Oh, Pluto. It's in first quarter square to Jupiter in Taurus. So Jupiter's in a T square to Pluto and the moon at the time of this new moon. We've got a gibbous in conjunct with Saturn, and a full in conjunct with Venus. The North Node is also in gibbous trine to Juno, and in, of course, the third quarter square to Mars and Mercury. Okay? So as the hard, murky truths about the wounding of our individuality through relationships comes out into the light in a way that probably brings up resistance to looking at it, we are tasked with the challenge of integrating change in our relating patterns on a societal level, okay? So as I've said before, okay, so I'm going to start very macro, I'm going to start very collective, and then we're going to get personal. The personal is political, though. Issues such as addiction, complex post-traumatic stress disorder, mental illness, disease, violence, poverty, incarceration rates, you name it, are alive and well, and are a direct cause and effect to our political landscape and toxic culture, both historically and presently. So yes, we can, on one hand, fairly make this generalized statement, while also recognizing that each individual has to discover their own unique healing journey. And so the reason being is that these collective wounds become very personal, intimate, and unique when they collide with the nature of each individual. The unique nature of each individual is best observed through the birth chart with unparalleled accuracy to other models, methods of measurement that I've seen. So this is how I've ended up here in the world of merging social activism with evolutionary astrology. With these tools, we can stimulate change within the societal system, as well as integrate healing on an individual level. It's not either or, it's both and. And this is, in essence, the Aries-Libra axis, right? Aries is a single point. It's the single point of the web of relational connection that is life, Libra. You can't separate them. You can't have one without the other. This is natural law, and as Jeffrey Wolf Green taught, every deviation from natural law will create distortion in our reality. And we see this with Saturn in Pisces in crescent sextile to this Jupiter that's squaring this moon. Okay, it's an important point in the bigger cycle of these two social planets, this crescent sextile. Here we have reflected back to us that natural law is sustainable. It does serve our survival if we integrate it into the structure of society. So, any policymakers out there willing to hire evolutionary astrologers? Yeah, I'm just skimming the surface of a very deep, complex, and advantageous possibility for change. And I have been a policy writer and a social program developer, and it is a position of immense power, and it also is a position of immense restriction, because there is a certain level of resources that need to be there in order to enact true social change, and there also needs to be a healthy culture and environment who's capable of doing things differently. I am going to continue to talk about oh yeah, so talking about Mars and Venus again, the fact that they are in balsamic phase to one another, and Mars will actually pass Pluto on the 13th, Venus will pass Pluto on the 16th of February, and Mars and Venus will finally be exactly conjunct on February 21st. Okay, and what I want to say here, as we're in this balsamic phase, I think it's important to recognize where we've come from and what might be under review. So last June, July of 2023, there was Venus and Mars got within degrees of one another in the sign of Leo, shortly before Venus took her retrograde underworld journey in the sign of Leo in August. And so yeah, what was up with you in your relationships last summer? It was probably experienced very similar vibe in terms of the balsamic energy of like, something needs to culminate here, something needs to be released. There is old, outdated patterns in my relating that are really needing to go now, and yet having, because they didn't fully conjunct, it's like there was this, like major things could have happened and everything. However, it didn't really provide that relief of, okay, and now a new cycle is beginning. So over this next month, I hope that we are really able to feel that now a new cycle is beginning. So Mars and Venus in balsamic phase, blah blah blah. Okay. So yeah, they will both pass Pluto, who's at 0 degrees of Aquarius. So this is about liberation, newness, change, freedom from the known ways that we have been relating to ourselves and others. So for now, it's important to focus on the ways of relating to ourselves, others, and all things that are ready to be released. So with Mars and Venus in the sign of Capricorn, this can include relating patterns passed down intergenerationally from ancestral lines and or societal conditioning. So examples of this includes that women must fulfill the role of caretaking others' needs while abandoning their own and expecting nothing in return. So this is Venus in third quarter sextile to that Saturn in Pisces. And while they're at it, those women, they better be showing off how special they are. Because, baby, you gotta give me something to love. Something that no other woman has. Make me feel special for having such a woman in my arms. And this is Venus in conjunct this moon in Leo. And here we have the conflicting messaging. Women relief. Hey, buddy. Hello. Hey, guys. Cute doggies. Okay. What was I saying? Here we have the conflicting messaging women receive: to be selfless caregivers while joyfully radiating herself as a permanently ripe fruit for romance's plucking. The messaging is to take care of everyone's needs and to be sexy while you do it. And to that I say, fuck that bullshit. So, Venus in a disseminating trine to Jupiter in Taurus. The bigger picture here is understanding that this is cultural, social conditioning. The indoctrination of the good girl archetype, right? Obedient, submissive, romantically enticing, seductive all at once. And since this is so ingrained culturally, religiously, as a byproduct of many distortions of the Pisces age, societal rigidity and stubbornness will need to be faced. And with Jupiter squaring this moon, there is a firmly established set of values and beliefs that need to be reckoned with. Jupiter in Taurus, it starts with an integration of what is in the body. As a result of this indoctrination, whose values, beliefs, and expectations live in my body? Are they mine? Or are they indoctrinated through cultural, societal conditioning? So Jupiter in Taurus, crescent sextile to this Saturn again. Having the ability to discern between Having the ability to discern what is in our body and where it comes from is a practice that takes self-honesty, self-reflection, and actually judgment of our society, of the age, of the history. What are society's values? What are my values? So that's Venus. Let's talk about Mars in Capricorn in a disseminating trine to this Jupiter. The door is open for us to see the bigger picture of cultural conditioning for men as well, and how this rigidity becomes embodied. With Mars squaring the moon's nodes, this too requires a reckoning and integration. Venus will also, as I said, square the moon's nodes, so this is all, that's really something, Mars and Venus, the rulers of the lunar nodes right now, are going to be squaring the moon's nodes right before they pass Pluto, who just initiated a new sign, right before they enter into a new phasal relationship with one another. Like, wow. So it all is requiring so much integration of what hasn't been working in the past and really preparing for what's up and coming. So these overarching themes in the indoctrination of men includes that men shall not have emotions, with the exception of anger. And that's permissible. This creates a dynamic of repressed emotions cyclically erupting from the subconscious, creating a lot of emotional labor expected to be done by the women. See how patriarchy has caused detriment to both women and men? These dynamics play into gender, then into how the genders interact, thereby reinforcing rigidity and stuckness in these dynamics, because it takes both genders doing things differently for change to occur. Okay, this isn't woman against man. Everybody needs to change. Both say more on that later. Anyways, both Venus and Mars will oppose. Yeah, they're going to be opposing the north node of Pluto in Cancer, right? Because that is, this point that is also squaring the moon's nodes. Coincidence or synchronicity, as Jeffrey Wolf Green would have asked, the watery depths of emotion is where evolution occurs. So, as Mars and Venus are in balsamic phase in their continued dance with one another, I invite you to take some time and to look at the underbelly of your relating patterns. Take note of how they make you feel, where that energy is held in your body, and be with that, adding the possibility of healing to the mix. There really is no need to know the next steps of our relational life right now. It's time to be with what is, to resolve steps we've skipped from the past. That's that squaring of the nodes, yeah? Stuff's coming up that we skipped over, spiritual bypassed, put in the too hard basket, whatever. It's gotta be reckoned with. One of my favorite words, reckon. So good. Okay, what parts of you are you taking to the throne of patriarchy and saying something to the effect of, and I really just intended for this to be a sentence, but then the pen just kept writing. So here we go. It actually turned out to be some sort of thing. I am not doing this anymore. It goes against my authenticity. What you tried to make of me took me so far from my radiant self. I have the wounds and the battle scars to prove it. So, I'm done fighting this war against patriarchy. I'm doing me now. What lights me up? I'll follow that. And not to spite you, patriarchy. I won't give you that much power. I'm doing it to find me, to discover who I am, to let my inner children feel free to play, and ultimately to let my genius shine. And from this self-honoring foundational intention, my relationships and relating patterns will be infinitely different. It's true. It's true, though. Okay. With Chiron on the north node of the moon, again in balsamic phase, they will be exact on February 10th, one day after our next new moon. Whew. Get chills just thinking about the month of February. It is wild. So, over the next 2 weeks, there is a culmination of a cycle of wounding to selfhood, our autonomy, wounding to our body and our blood, wounding to our desires, our sexuality, our protection and defenses. Now is the time to really observe where Chiron's arrow hit you. How are you personally feeling this wound? What parts of you have been wounded? Really let that arrow sink in. Meaning, feel the wounds, not in a masochistic way, rather in a self-compassionate way. When it comes to evolving through Chiron, compassion is the medicine just as much as the actual wound is. Right now, we need the kind of self-compassion that penetrates through insecurities of the self, through those wonderful, loyal self-protection mechanisms, These habits have run their course, penetrating through the walls of self-abandonment that were once put up in order for our survival. Whew, that was a big one. Our mainstream culture and society place favoritism toward compassion for others. The wound here is that there is a self-sacrifice or a self-abandonment as a byproduct. And of course, we can have compassion for others where that isn't the case, but I'm speaking in general terms here about the distortions of natural law within our society that have created this warped reality that we should be expected to just have endless compassion for everyone else while we're breaking our back and barely able to walk ourselves. Okay? So, in this balsamic period, turn your compassion inward. It will help release unnecessary karma and integrate lessons learned and ultimately surrender to the medicine so you can evolve into being the wounded healer. If self-compassion is an edgy subject for you, I guess that I would just have one question, and that would be, how has the lack of self-compassion impacted your life? Yeah, it's okay. It's okay to feel resistant to wanting to be self-compassionate.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're slow walkers. That's okay. That's okay. Oh, hi, buddy.
The only type of outward compassion or compassion for another that has no chance at being weaponized against you is compassion that begins self-directed. And from that cup overfloweth, compassion for others may be extended authentically. Okay. Wishing all of you a potent, balsamic, flavored time of really, really, really purging from these wounds, these relational wounds, these wounds of to our selfhood, to our autonomy, so that within this next month we can really be standing on the other side of this in these new phase spaces. So, sending you so much love from the forest.